I'm your manager of capital projects here at the town of Newmarket, and I'd like to thank you for coming out and participating. And I would like to quickly acknowledge, we have a couple of our councillors in attendance. I see that Councillor Quapis is in Woodhouse and Deputy Mayor Tom Vey. So thank you for attending, our elected officials. We also have in attendance Rachel Prudham. She's our Director of Engineering here at the town. And I'd like to mention just before we pass it off to Terry Hohen, our consultant, who's going to give the presentation, that the town of Newmarket does strive for community engagement and public consultation in all our business. And we had a public consultation center back in 2019, a public information center back in 2020. We've heard a lot of comments and concerns from the residents, and we've tried our best to incorporate those comments and concerns into our design. And this is yet our third public engagement for this project in the design stage. So thank you for all your comments. You're going to have another opportunity to ask questions, and we will do our best to provide answers to those questions. And I would also like to note that you'll see at the end of the presentation that the community engagement is going to continue throughout the project. We will have a construction liaison committee where residents on the street will be invited to participate in the construction, communication back to residents on the street and so forth. We can give you more information on that. And we're also going to be sending out bi-weekly construction notices to the residents on the street to keep you informed and engaged on the project. So the town is very big on community engagement, and we're going to continue with that throughout the project. So with that, I'd like to pass the presentation on to Terry Hohen from Ainley Group. Terry is the project manager, and he will be the town's lead on this project. So Terry, if you'd like to give us the presentation.
Thank you, Gord. Let me just get my screen up here. Okay. Thanks everyone for attending. We normally do these face-to-face, but this is the new normal for now. So I'd like to thank everyone for taking their time to attend and show some interest in this project. As Gord mentioned, this is for the Lorne Avenue road reconstruction and traffic calming demonstration project. It goes from Eagle Street to Davis Drive. Sorry, there we go. That's me. I've been Terry Hohen. I'm a project manager, senior engineering technologist with the Ainley Group. I've been with the Ainley Group for over 20 years and in the industry for 32 years. I've completed a number of projects extensively in the Newmarket area in the last 6 to 7 years. Quick agenda for what we're going to go through here is a little bit of the project background, some of the planned improvements, construction impacts, and we'll try and get a lot of frequently asked questions that we get at these. Might answer a lot of your questions that you're saving to the end. Next steps, and then there'll be some time for questions at the end of the presentation. So project background. As we mentioned, the project is Lorne Avenue, and it goes from Davis Drive to Eagle Street. That's approximately 1 kilometer in length. The area is basically made up of residential. There are some high density residential at the Davis Drive-In with the 2 apartment buildings. There is Stuart Scott Public School, which is down near Eagle Street, and the Riviera Eagle Terrace long-term care home also at Eagle Street. The road, it's currently classified as a minor collector road with existing traffic volumes between 2,500 to 3,800 vehicles per day. And this is typically considered moderate traffic volume. It's currently a 2-lane urban cross section with auxiliary left turn lanes at both the intersections of Davis Drive and Eagle Street for left turning movement. And both of those intersections are signalized. And the existing asphalt width throughout this stretch of road, it varies quite a bit from 9.7 meters to 13.7 meters. Sidewalk is continuous on the east side of Lorne with a lot of the sections that are not compliant with the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, AODA. You'll see that again later in the presentation. Currently, AODA requires all sidewalk to be a minimum 1.5 meters in width. And there's a lot of areas where that isn't the case here. The old Newmarket standard was, I believe, 1.35 meters. And on the west side of the road, there's currently sidewalk throughout, with the exception of the section between Millard Avenue and Calgain Road, where there is no sidewalk. Right now, there are dedicated bike lanes on both sides between Millard and Park Avenue. And this was completed as part of the town's East-West Bikeway project in 2017. The York region currently runs a school route between Davis Drive and Eagle Street. There's a number of bus stops along the way. It runs buses in the morning and late afternoons. So it's not a regular transit route, but it is a school route that York region runs, and that will be maintained. On-street parking currently varies throughout, but it's primarily located on the west side where permitted. And as mentioned earlier, Stuart Scott Elementary School is located just north of Eagle Street. So our project objectives, one of the big ones on this project is infrastructure renewal. The existing infrastructure for this area was constructed between 1963 and 1974. So it's 47 to 58 years old, and it's exceeded its life expectancy. The sanitary and storm sewers are in poor condition. The town has cambered the sewer pipes. There is a lot of failing pipes, damaged pipes that are in need of repair. And there are sections that require upsizing per the town's wastewater master plan. The existing water main is aged and it is metallic, and the town has had some break issues on this road. So it is also in need of being replaced. And the asphalt driving surface, which I'm sure everyone sees and is aware of, is in poor condition. The sidewalk needs to be upgraded to meet AODA requirements and the town of Newmarket sidewalk policy, which for this class of road requires a sidewalk on both sides of the street. Traffic calming and speed mitigation measures have been evaluated, and they'll be implemented for some traffic calming and speed mitigation strategies throughout the project. Active transportation. The town's active transportation plan was adopted in 2018, and it recommends dedicated bike lanes between Davis Drive and Eagle Street. So part of this project was to incorporate those recommendations. Based on discussion with town staff and comments received from residents from previous consultations, there were 5 different alternatives that were considered and reviewed and evaluated for the proposed cross-section in order to meet all the needs that needed to be achieved here. So we'll get into the planned improvements now. We've got a bit of the background and why this needs to be done. So the proposed improvements, all new underground infrastructure, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, water main, including services up to property line. A 2-lane urban cross section. So it's a lane of traffic in both direction. New sidewalk on both sides of the street that will be AODA compliant and meet the town's sidewalk policy for a minor collector road. Dedicated bike lanes in each direction to meet the town's active transportation implementation plan. Stormwater management and incorporation of low impact development or LID features for improved water quality and reduced peak flows during minor storm events. Traffic calming and speed mitigation measures, new mailbox pads, bus stops, and park benches. These have all been incorporated into the design. So this is a look at what the preferred alternative typical cross section will be throughout. As I mentioned earlier, The existing asphalt width on Lorne Avenue varies from 9.7 meters to 13.7 meters. Most of the wider asphalt is north of Millard Avenue, where there's a wider right-of-way. So we're implementing an asphalt width that's 9.7 meters wide, 2 lanes of traffic, bike lanes in each direction, and sidewalk on both sides of the road. This is just an example I'll go through here of a low impact development feature. Some of you may have seen these throughout Newmarket. And just an FYI, Newmarket, the town of Newmarket is recognized as a leader in promoting LEDs on their capital projects. We've been implementing them for a number of years now. There are some down on Forest Glen Road. Queen Street has some. There are various options have been put in over the years. This is a bioswale, so it's just a low depressed grass area just off the road. It collects the water, runs it through this filtration media, and then into the storm sewer as clean water before it goes out to the source, to the water, the downstream water course. Another feature we're looking at implementing on this project is tree cells. So they act similar to the bioswales, but they would go in along the road, clean the water before it outlets to the storm sewer. Again, there's filter media that goes in there. It's pretty straightforward, and it's a real benefit to the environment. Traffic calming and speed mitigation features. So we'll go through a bit on the road geometry here. Again, the asphalt width. So we do have a reduction between Millard and Calgary Road, which will be about 4 meters of asphalt, which is significant added green space, the boulevard area. So that'll be a big improvement. The asphalt width from Eagle Street to Millard is currently 9.7 meters. That will be maintained. Travel lanes are reduced to 3 meters. So the current lane widths throughout, they vary all over the place, but they're in excess of 4 meters in a lot of places. So they're not really defined traveled lanes for cars. One of the things we've done on the side streets, the intersecting streets, is reduced curb radii at the side streets. The standard is usually a 9-meter radii, and we've reduced it down to 6 meters. You can see in the illustration below, that yellow line shows what a reduced radii will do there, as it'll cause vehicles to take the turns slower, and it also shortens the pedestrian crossing length at when you're trying to cross the street. Traffic calming, speed mitigation features, automated speed and volume control devices. So the town will be looking at implementing some technical devices at various locations. And these will be used to monitor the speed of traffic, also cyclists, pedestrian counts, and have the ability to transfer data directly to a remote server that the town can then use to monitor the data. And also the town will be looking at possibly implementing some solar powered speed board throughout that could be added in the vicinity of the school. Just to everyone's seen these. I believe the town has a plan where they remotely move them around from time to time. So one could be implemented down by the school. Raised intersections. So we're looking at, we are proposing some raised intersections at Queen Street, Millard Avenue, and Park Avenue. These 3 intersections are all 4-way stop controlled. So traffic does have to stop before they enter the raised portion, and then they will come off the raised portion at a slow speed. There'll also be salmon colored concrete for increased visibility. The intersections themselves, the raised portion is only 8 centimeters, so it's not a significant amount, but it is enough to to create vehicles to slow down. Impacts from construction. So tree removals. So as part of the project, there were 325 existing trees within the project limits that were evaluated by a certified arborist. The proposed design has been reviewed by the arborist, and there are currently 30 trees in total that have been identified for removal. Some of the reasons for the removals are as follows: conflicts with existing water and or sewer service pipes. The trees will suffer severe root damage due to construction and not be able to survive. Therefore, removal later could be damaging to the newly installed infrastructure. Conflicts with proposed sidewalk. The new sidewalk, as I mentioned earlier, needs to be AODA compliant, and some of the tree bases of the tree roots will be in close proximity, so they will be removed to accommodate. And there's a few circumstances where there's poor health of the tree indicates it will not survive the impacts from construction. The town does have a tree planting program following construction whereby they will plant new healthy trees in an effort to replace the trees that have been removed due to construction. And also, as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to implement some of the tree cells, so there will be some added trees added that way as well. Further impacts, sorry. There we go. So impacts from construction, loss of on-street parking. All on-street parking on Lorne Avenue is to be removed. Parking is available on nearby side streets and at the school parking lot on Darcy Street. Addition of retaining walls. There are some areas where some small retaining walls are required due to grading constraints. There are no significant, no really big walls on this project. There are small in nature, and it's really just to accommodate grading. Additional low impact development features. Again, we've talked about that a little bit, and that the town really makes an effort to promote this, and it provides treatment for stormwater runoff during minor storm events. It provides cleaner water to the downstream water course, which is a big thing for Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority. This proposed option is the minimal impacts to existing utilities. That would be your gas mains, your bell structures, your Rogers cable. So there's no major relocation work required for this project based on the current design. There will be some effort to work around some existing utilities, but it's not, it can be done. There are a couple of hydro poles that need to be relocated, but that nothing significant. So what are construction timelines? So phase one we're looking at will be Eagle Street to Timothy Street, and we're anticipating that being constructed in 2021. Phase two would be Timothy Street to Davis Drive. So the rest of the project, we do like to get that phase one portion complete this year. There is some issues with the existing infrastructure in that area. And if we can get that cleaned up and get the contractor out of there during the summer, excuse me, during the summer months while the kids are out of school, would be ideal. And then surface course asphalt and final pavement markings would be scheduled for 2023. Some of the other questions typically is, will I have access to my property? Yeah, every effort will be made during construction to maintain access for residents. There will likely be rolling closures. So rolling closures would be sort of your block to block sections, which still allows access to residents within that area to get in and out. But yeah, you will have access. There will be times when there will be delays, restricted access, for example, pouring curbs, pouring sidewalk, driveway paving, and you get notices ahead of time for that. And accommodations can be made. How is my home protected from construction? So the town has an independent consultant on retainer that does pre-condition surveys. So they will issue notices out to you regarding the pre-condition survey. You have the opportunity to opt in for a full inspection, which is inside and out of your house. You can opt out of the internal inspection if you don't want them in your house. You can just have the external, or you can opt out altogether. Is totally your choice. There is no cost to you, the homeowners, for this. This is a service that the town provides to you. What it does is it provides a detailed record of the existing condition of your home. So if something does happen during construction, then there can be a follow-up inspection, and then this independent consultant that the town has can provide a recommendation if there is damage from the construction activities. So it's an insurance policy for the homeowner, for everyone really, for homeowners, but it does provide a good record. Without it, it's hard for a homeowner to go back on a contractor for damage from construction if there's no pre-condition record. What if I want to upgrade my services? So your water, your sanitary, your driveway during construction. So the town's contract, as I mentioned earlier, includes replacement of water and sanitary services up to the property line where they will connect to the existing services. If the homeowner wants to replace or upgrade their own service from property line to the house, this is 100% the homeowner's responsibility, and the cost will not be completed by the town, and it will not be covered by the town or their contractor. Driveway restoration. Most of the contractors, their subcontractor who does driveway work will go door to door and issue a notice ahead of time. If you want to get your entire driveway paved, you can coordinate that. You, the homeowner, are responsible for the portion from the limits of our proposed construction to your house. That's typically the process for that. What if I have a concern during construction? You can always contact the town's customer service department. These numbers will be provided. The town's project manager, you'll have all these contact info, and we will have an inspector on site full time. You probably get to know that person quite well as they're out there, and they're typically available as needed at all times. Some other common concerns we get are dust, mud, snow removal, etc. I typically will be honest at this point with everybody. There will be dust on dry days. There will be mud after it rains. We have contingencies in the contract for dust control. The contractor is required to clean up at the end of the day, the mud, scrape mud off the roads, etc. Every effort will be made, but there will be dust, there will be mud. So again, patience. Water, Bell, Rogers service interruptions. Yes, there will be water interruptions when your service is switched over, when new water main is connected to existing water main. You will get notices of those ahead of time, so you will be aware. Bell and Rogers services to your home. One of the things that isn't provided as a locate service is they don't locate individual service connections to the house. They will get hit, they will get broke, but they do get fixed. So again, it can be frustrating, patience, but it's something that is just unavoidable. Garbage and recycling collection. Again, if the garbage collection can't get to your property, contractor will pick it up as long as it is at curbside by 7 a.m. and take it to a location that's convenient for pickup. The town will provide colored bags if need be that you can put out, so you don't have to put out your garbage cans and your recycle bins. And vibration is always a big concern during construction. There will be vibration monitoring during construction. This is typical on most projects now. It's, although you will feel some vibration, it is rare that the vibration, the limit of the vibration would be enough to cause damage to your house. But we will have monitoring stations set up. We will track it. It's tracked on a daily basis. There's a record of it. If there is a significant vibration, there is an alert sent immediately, and that can be addressed. What if I have a concern once the work is complete and the contractor has left? We've heard this one a lot. The town has a 24-month warranty period on the contract once it's complete. So that means after top asphalt and final line painting is done in 2023, they have a warranty on the entire project for 2 years from that point. They also retain a warranty holdback on the contractor, so that if anything needs to be done and the contractor isn't coming out to fix it, the town can bring somebody out and address the issues. Another one I get a lot is, especially if on a larger project where it's taking a while, is why is the contractor stopping me from getting into my home? And this is just a safety issue. The contractor will have flag persons on site. The flag persons are there to control the traffic. They're there to protect the workers on site, the residents that live there, the people driving through. Follow them, obey them, be polite to them. They're just trying to do their job. So if you can, just be patient. It may take you a few extra minutes, but they are just trying to protect everybody out there. So I try and always say, please be patient and be kind. So next steps. Next steps is, well, once we get through this, the town and myself will go through all the comments that received following this public information center. We'll get responses out, address them, and then finalize the tender package. Then the town will go through their tendering and award process, award the contract to the selected contractor. One of the opportunities, and then this is another thing that the town of Newmarket does very well that I've seen over the years, is they have the volunteers for the resident ambassador program. It gives the residents an opportunity to be involved in the job. We'll have meetings every 2 weeks. If you're part of the ambassador program, we will have a meeting before our regular site meetings where we discuss the issues. You'll see a lot of times you'll see contractors standing around. You think nothing's going on. There's probably something going on that they need to deal with that's taking a little bit longer. So you'll hear about that stuff. You'll hear if they're on schedule, if they're not on schedule, why aren't they on schedule? We also listen to all your concerns, issues. If you've been talking to your neighbors, and we take all that into consideration. So we do everything we can to try and keep residents involved and stay informed. Again, the town issues regular construction corner notices. I believe they go out every 2 weeks. They give you updates. All the residents, you'll get updates on what's going on, where things are at. There's also project updates available on the town's website. So again, we ask during construction, please be patient, exercise care and caution. Everybody that's out there, they have families to go home to. They're out there trying to do their jobs. So, and I know it's hard when you live there, and the vibration and the dust and everything is there. But we do get through it, and we work together, and we'll try and address any issues that the residents have during the construction process. So there's Sebastian Scrofano. He's the town's project manager. There's his info, and again, myself. Terry Owen. There's my info if anybody wants it. And again, I'll just make a note, when we get once we get to construction and we have an inspector on site, we will have a person out there all the time. You will have their contact info and they will be able to assist you and answer any questions you have during construction. And so, thank you for your time.
Amanda, are there any questions that have been asked that we should be answering?
Yep, there are a few questions. The first question is, will Lorne Avenue become a no truck route as it once was, once the construction is complete?
I'll leave that one to you, Gord.
Okay, that's a good question. I'm not actually sure offhand. We will have to get back to you on that. And just, I guess, as a general note, all questions we will be providing answers to and posting them on Hey Newmarket, which will be linked from the town's website. So any and all questions that are asked, we will be providing answers in writing as well, and we will post them. And I'd like to quickly note, I mentioned at the beginning that Councillors Quapis and Councillor Woodhouse were in attendance, as well as Deputy Mayor Vey. We've also got Councillors Broom and Morrison also in attendance. I should have added their names as well. So thank you, councillors, for attending as well. But we will get that answer and we will get that posted.
I can help you with that answer, Gord, if you don't mind. There is a bylaw in the town of Newmarket that prevents heavy traffic on all of our local roads. So as much as possible, trucks, delivery trucks, heavy traffic should be using the main arteries like Davis Drive, Yonge Street, Leslie, New Lock, all the regional roads. When it comes to our local roads, they can, of course, deliver things to households and businesses that are on those local roads. They have to get there somehow, but they cannot use our roads as a throughway to get from one regional road to another one. So we call that infiltration. We can't allow heavy truck traffic to infiltrate through. Now, we don't post signs about this normally because there is a bylaw. What would happen is if you do notice heavy truck traffic, even if it's now, it doesn't have to be after the construction, I would highly recommend that you call the town and put in a heat ticket. It's called a heat ticket. Put in a complaint to our customer service, and they will send bylaws out to take a look at this. And the best thing you can do is get a picture of the vehicle, and if you can get the license plate on it as well, that would help. And we can follow up on that and make sure that they don't use your road on a regular basis. They should not be there.
Perfect. And the next question is, regarding the loss of on-street parking on Lorne Avenue, is this a permanent impact or just for the duration of the construction?
So again, because we are putting in bicycle lanes, we won't be able to allow parking on the street for safety reasons. This was a question that was brought up in the other two public information sessions that we had when we got input from the residents. There's a lot of concern every time we put in bike lanes about parking. Actually, the mayor sent us back to the drawing board on this one several times to look at all kinds of different options. And it just was not possible to maintain both bike lanes and the parking in this particular instance. However, we are looking at some innovative steps, and it's not through our engineering department, but our planning department will look at the street's characteristics, and we'll analyze the possibility of possibly changing the zoning bylaw to allow maybe some wider driveways to be on specific streets where bike lanes exist. and possibly even allowing some parking on farther into the property. There would be some consultation on this for sure before that is allowed to go ahead, but we are looking at various different options. In this particular case, what we found was that we would lose way too many very nice, large, mature trees if we were to widen and have a boulevard bike lane and still allow parking. And the cost would go up significantly, like in the order of about $250,000. Also, a lot of driveways would end up being shortened, so you would lose parking in your own driveways as well. Some of the driveways are rather steep already, and shortening them some more would make them too steep for cars to even go in. So there was too much of a price to pay, not necessarily a dollar price, but also a price in terms of quality of the construction that made it not possible. However, there is parking available on the side streets and at the school on weekends and evenings. So I know this is a contentious issue, and people really don't like to lose their on-street parking, but we did our best to try to keep it in, and we're still working on it to see if we can offer you some options after the construction is done.
Perfect. The next question is, how will parking be affected at Eagle Terrace?
It won't be affected. The parking lot will remain at Eagle Terrace.
Perfect.
Sorry, that's the long-term care home at.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. The only thing that'll be affected there is for short durations is doing the sidewalk and the curbs, the work in front of the entrance, but they will allow access in at all times. They have to provide access, and especially for emergency vehicles.
Perfect. And the next question is, how will the water and electricity be affected at Eagle Terrace?
It won't be. Their water service is off of Eagle Street. So they shouldn't experience any water disruption.
Perfect. The next question is related to parking. Can you confirm the bylaw regarding parking at Stuart Scott Public School? And is the school parking available to everyone on weekends and evenings?
It wouldn't be a town bylaw that controls parking on school property. That is a school property. We do know that people park at schools on weekends and evenings. The general public does in other areas of the town. If you really wanted to know if it's allowed or not, I would recommend that you contact the school board and find out from the school board what their restrictions would be. Most schools don't mind if residents park there on off hours. So I don't think there would be an issue, but I can't speak for them for sure.
Perfect. The next question is, will construction vehicles be using Calgene Road for parking their vehicles?
They should not be. No, the direction will be not to. We have a traffic management plan set up as part of the drawing set that has the contractor putting signs at each of those side streets for no construction traffic. So their main route should be Lorne Avenue to either Davis Drive or Eagle Street.
Perfect. The next question is, when will we find out if one of our trees is going to be removed or if we will be impacted by a retaining wall?
Well, it depends on who. Like, if we know the property, we can provide information with respect to that.
So perhaps would you like the resident to reach out to Sebastian and we can find out more information?
That would be a good start, I think, and then we can, if they want, we can provide the information for the individuals. Because yeah, other than that, it's as far as tree removals goes, they'll be identified in advance of construction. which ones are being removed. And retaining walls, yeah, all I can really do right now to provide notices is just provide, if someone is curious if they're getting a retaining wall, to ask the question, let us know, because specifically. Okay.
I think maybe I could add, we could probably, for the handful of properties that will lose trees, we could probably send a notice in advance so that that communication can start instead of everyone asking the question, am I losing my tree? Because the vast majority of trees are not going to be removed. So I think what we could do for the handful of properties where trees will be removed or anticipated to be removed, we can send a notice out. And if we think there's a wall that's potential, we can send you that notice too. I think that's something we can easily do to start the dialogue right away. So, and it's going to just be a handful of properties as opposed to everyone on the street wondering what's happening to their property. So I think we can get that out fairly quickly to the residents just to let everyone know.
Perfect. The next question is, I have a catch basin or sewer grate on Lorne in the middle of my driveway. Will that be moved as it sinks each year?
Without knowing specifically which driveway it is, my short answer would be probably. All the existing catch basins are being removed on Lorne, and new ones will be put in. And we really try and make sure that we're not putting a new catch basin right in the middle of somebody's driveway. But without knowing specifically which address it is, if I don't know, my answer would probably be no, it isn't, because I don't think we would be putting one back in there unless we absolutely had to. If it was a low point in the road, then we wouldn't have a choice.
Perfect. This is a question. Can a crosswalk, a permanent one, be placed near Eagle Terrace driveway parking lot across their driveway?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think they're referring if a permanent crosswalk can be placed near Eagle Terrace, the long-term care home.
Well, there's a pedestrian crossing at the lights at Eagle Street.
I think it sounds like they're looking at across the driveway, which is beyond the limits of this construction project. So that is a request that could be put through our customer service at the town as well. If you call the town's number, you can ask for customer service and put in a heat ticket and ask that question, and someone will get back to you and tell you how to go about to try to get that done. It would probably involve having a petition. We would have to do a safety study. It falls under our traffic division, and it's not, it's beyond the limits of this project. So our contractor would not be doing that.
Perfect. The next question is, will there be any changes to existing boulevard strips?
Repeat that.
Will there be any changes to existing boulevard strips?
So assuming this means the area between the curb and the sidewalk, the answer would be yes and no. From the section between Eagle Street and Millard, there'll be minimal changes in there because it is a narrower right-of-way. It's a 20-meter right-of-way, so we have limited space. The area, the section from Millard, north of Millard, there will be changes because the road will be narrower. So there will be some, especially on the west side, there will be some, well, there is no sidewalk there, but there will be boulevard space.
All right, perfect. Next question is, what other cities have you looked into for how they have dealt with the planned layout? Specifically, are there other options that have been used in other cities that you have reviewed for best practices?
As far as the traffic calming and speed mitigation, yeah, we looked at a number of different cities. We've looked at stuff in Toronto. We've looked at stuff in city of Kitchener, Ottawa, Calgary. So there were some significant, there was some background checking done on what's done in other areas. But again, we had to design to accommodate this location.
Okay, perfect. So the next question is, will there be bollards or colored asphalt on bike lanes?
No. Not as part of this project, no.
Next question is, Eagle Terrace has very large sewer drains. Will this impact the length of time the project will take place in front of the home?
No.
And then the next question is, a crosswalk at Calgane and Lorne would be a great improvement. Is this currently in the plan?
It is not. There is a crossing at Davis Drive, and there is a crossing at Queen Street. Both controlled stops, controlled intersections, so safe to cross, whereas Calgane would not be a controlled stop and not a safe place to cross the street.
I think I would just add too, Amanda, with the project installing a sidewalk on the west side of the road, there really won't be a need to cross right at that location. People could then use the new west sidewalk all the way down to like Queen Street and then cross over there if they're walking towards the downtown or Main Street. But yeah, there is no crosswalk proposed right at Calgane and Lorne.
The next question is, will there be park benches placed? And if so, where will they be placed?
There is a proposal for park benches. Currently there's, I think 2 park benches down by Calgane in that area, as there's a bit of a nice buffer spot down there. And we got to talk to the town about, see if we can't find a spot at the south end, maybe. There's a need for it.
Perfect. And this is the last question in the queue so far. And I think it's related to the other question about what cities we've looked at for best practices. It says, have you looked at European cities that are heavily bike centric?
No, we have not.
So Gord, and that's all the questions that we have so far. Oh,
Okay,
we
well,
have,
thank you.
sorry, we have one more question. Sorry, Gord.
It's
Related
okay.
to the park benches, when will we know where they will be placed, as it would perhaps be a concern?
Well, I can tell you the 2 are down at Calgane Road in that area. In between, very close to Calgane Road, north of Woodland Court. That's where there's 2 proposed right now.
Yeah, I might add too, if there's a specific concern from anyone, if they could reach out to either Terry or Sebastian and have that dialogue just to elaborate a little bit further of the concern or the preference of a location, that would be great. Is that it for the questions, Amanda?
One more question just came in. When will we be able to see a more detailed plans for the streetscape?
Gord?
Okay, I'll jump in, Terry. Well, the plans are more or less finalized. If there's a specific concern, again, I would ask that you reach out to Sebastian or Terry, and they can go over the specifics. And I think with us sending out notices with the impacts to the trees, if we think your tree is going to come out, we'll start that dialogue with you right away, or that retaining wall issue. But if you want to know specifically in front of your property, how much is your driveway being impacted or any kind of garden you may have or whatever, please reach out to Sebastian. And it's also a good kind of segue into a point I was going to make to really encourage people, if they have the time during the week, to spend half an hour every 2 weeks and join our ambassador program. That'll help ensure that you have communication ongoing and that you pass on some information to your neighbors, and I guess listen to your neighbors' concerns and pass those concerns on to us. So if there's a specific concern you have in front of your property, reach out to Sebastian and he can get into more detail as to the exact impacts in front of your property and have that dialogue. But I do encourage everyone to participate or ask to be on the ambassador program, and we'll determine how many people will be on that little committee. But we do encourage that. We want to continue the community engagement and make sure we have an open dialogue between the public and the town throughout the whole project, right to the end of the project. So
while you're on that topic, Gord, I'd like to put in a plug for the ambassador program as well. The ambassador position is a voluntary position, so you would be a volunteer. And whoever's interested, I mean, we've had one on certain projects, and other projects we've had up to 8 people that were interested. And we're not cutting it off unless it gets too many people, and then, then it would be not really manageable. But we require that it be someone who's facing onto the construction, who is affected by the construction. And what we would ask is that the ambassadors talk to their neighbors and bring forth any concerns that your neighbors have. So if any of you who live on the street have concerns and you don't want to call Sebastian, or you don't want to call the inspector on the site, and you want to remain anonymous, you can go through your ambassador. You will have information on how to get a hold of them. The ambassador is not required to attend every single meeting. We understand that everybody has a life, people work, and you're not always available. The meetings are during the daytime. What we would expect is that you also bring information back to your neighbors as well, so that everybody has a bit of information on what's been happening with the project and how the scheduling is going and everything else. So it's a really great program. We've had a lot of positive feedback on it, and people who've participated have really enjoyed it.
Perfect.
And just to add to that too, if you don't want to be a part of the ambassador program, the town will still send out every 2 weeks what we call a construction corner, which will basically let all the residents know what work has happened in the last 2 weeks and what to expect in the next 2 weeks. So it kind of gives all the residents, even if you're not part of this program, a hand-delivered notice to let you know what's coming up. And again, Sebastian's contact information will always be there, along with the town's consultant information. So there'll be constant communication back with the residents.
Perfect. So Gord, we did get 4 questions. If it's okay, we can go through them quickly.
Sure.
First one is I believe this is for Eagle Terrace. How much notice will we receive, as we need to notify our staff and family members?
I guess I can answer that. Once we tender the project and we successfully award the contract to a contractor, we will typically have about 2 weeks notice as to when they intend to start. With the town, contracts are supposed to start immediately. So we will have, I'd say, at least somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks notice. And then we will make sure we get the notices out to all the residents at that time. So you should have a minimum 1 week notice and probably close to 2 weeks notice. So hopefully that's enough time. And if it's not, you can certainly keep in touch with Sebastian and make calls before you even get contacted yourself. So I would suggest you get in touch with Sebastian if you haven't seen a notice, just to see what the latest timelines are like for the project.
Perfect. I guess this question is also related to Eagle Terrace. Will any water or any other services be affected for any length of time, as we have 70 residents to provide for?
No, the Eagle Terrace, the sanitary sewer servicing and the water servicing are both off of Eagle Street, not Lorne Avenue. So they should not be impacted by the construction. There is a storm drain in their driveway that outlets to Lorne Avenue. So that will be connected to the new storm sewer system. But no, your sanitary and the water servicing, there should be no interruption.
Perfect. The next question is the town able to look at cross streets road repairs while doing this work? It could potentially save money in the long term.
That would be really nice if we could do that, actually. That's a nice thought. We do have a limited budget that we're working with though, and we do want to focus on Lorne and finish that as soon as possible. We also have an asset management plan and a capital plan in place that dictates what the next priorities are for road reconstruction. But if you do notice that there are cracks in your road or any kind of safety issues, please call our customer service line immediately and log another heat ticket. That's the way to get us to react quickly. And we would take a look at it and let you know what would be happening with those side streets.
Perfect. The next question is, once phase 1 is complete, will we have new asphalt or will it be gravel until the later phases are complete?
No, the plan is for phase 1 up to Timothy Street to get it new curbs, new sidewalk to base asphalt this year. Okay, driveway restoration this year for that section, and then the rest of it will be in 2022.
So there would be base asphalt, which means that there will be a final top coat put in at a later time, but the base asphalt will also have line painting on it. It will look like a regular street, but you will notice that the curbs have a little lip of about 1.5 inches or so, where there will be room for a top coat to come in at the end of the project.
And just to follow up to the answer, is it to the north end of Timothy or the south end in phase 1?
It'll be just south of Timothy. The plan is there will be some work in the intersection at Timothy. Ideally to get the water main connection at Timothy done, and across Timothy, the storm, because of where the storm sewer is, we have to provide a temporary connection from the existing to the proposed. So there's an outlet, and then that area as well will be cleaned up with temporary asphalt prior to the end of the year. So there should not be any gravel areas left through the winter.
Next question is there any interruption for sewer and water services planned for Calgan Road?
Water, yes, there will be a water connection done to the existing water main at Calgain Road. Typically, do those shutdowns, they take the better part of a half a day to be safe. There will be notices sent out in advance.
Perfect. That's all the questions I have right now.
Okay, well, thank you, Amanda, and thank you everyone for attending this evening and forwarding your questions and your comments. And again, if you have some additional questions that you think of later on, if you can send them in through the town, you can send them through to Terry Hohen or to Sebastian. If we could just request that we have all those questions come in by this Friday, because we'd like to kind of wrap up all the questions at the design phase of the project as we move towards tendering and construction. If you could do that by this Friday, that would be great. And thank you again for attending, and we look forward to continuing that communication throughout the whole project. And again, give some consideration to the ambassador program. And feel free to reach out to Sebastian or Terry with any questions or comments you have going forward. So thank you everyone for attending, and thank you, Terry, for the presentation, putting that together. And
thank you, Sebastian, everyone.
And as well the elected officials that also attended and showed their support to the town for the project. So thank you everyone. Have a great night, and hopefully we communicate more in the future. All right, good evening.